We're going to try a couple different approaches, but coming up here initially, I really like how it's canopied up. So I'm going to take a frog and see if I can get something going. One of the things that I don't see or hear right now, it doesn't mean that they're not here, but I don't hear bait fish popping. I don't hear, you know, any fish commotion up in the canopy. That's such an important thing. If you hear that, if you hear those little pops, little slurps, you know that you've got bluegills, you know that you've got bait fish up in there, and you can be confident that there's going to be some predators in there after them. Now, I don't hear any right through here, so I'm going to kind of put the trolling motor on high, and I'm going to kind of move pretty aggressively down this edge, listening, and throwing my top water. See if I can pull up. Now I just spooked a little bait fish there. That's kind of encouraging. Now, lure selection becomes it changes. Where we were fishing, there was no grass, and the water had a really strong stain to it. Visibility's 6 inches, maybe a foot. And as we get into the heavier parts of this grass, especially as we get later into the season, we get really clean water. The grass bed acts as a filter, and it takes all the turbidity out and all the stain. And on an outgoing tide like this, I can see 4 or 5 feet to the bottom. Even later in the season than right now, I'll be able to see even deeper than that in certain and other sections that have heavier grass. I see a little needlefish in front of the boat. Keeping my eyes peeled for life along this edge. And I'll also keep my eyes peeled for fish. Like not only bait fish, but with water clarity like this, I can see bass. I'll, you know, and obviously that's a surefire sign that you want to concentrate, take your time, slow down, and fish the area a little bit more aggressively. But you'll see, you know, schools of bait fish. Oftentimes you can see catfish. Catfish is a really good indicator of bass being present. A lot of people, they might get frustrated by catching catfish or feel like, oh, you know, I'm not around the right area, but catfish are predators just like bass, and they will often locate themselves right next to each other. They'll feed next to each other. So don't get discouraged if you start seeing those guys. They can be an indicator that the bass are nearby. Now in this body of water, we see a lot of stripers, and you'll see the stripers in an area that's got a lot of bait fish. All good stuff, but I'm not seeing a tremendous amount yet. So I'm gonna move pretty efficiently through here, and I'm keying really on the edge. Like, this is important to note on outgoing tide. The water's getting shallower and shallower up on top of this flat. And as I see some more needlefish running around, a lot of needlefish out here, it's good to see. But as I, you know, and the tide's still up high enough where there might be fish up there, but you can see I'm concentrating on the edge because this is where they're coming to. But I'll occasionally make a cast way up on top just to keep them honest. If they're still up there, you know, as this tide lowers. But I'm going to be thinking about the canopies here on the outside edge. I think they're the best place to find fish on an outgoing tide. Now, I'm hearing, oh man, I don't know if you heard that on the camera, but I certainly saw it. But something just right in the middle of this grass bed, pretty sizable, decided to get spooked.